Hey, what's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. I want to first start off by thanking you all for your massive support on the last video. As you can probably tell, I'm trying to move content over to a more Halo oriented side of things as we gear up for the release of Halo Infinite. And to have an overwhelmingly positive response in viewership, likes, comments, and elsewhere really does make me so happy. Thank you all so much for your support. Also, I just want to remind everyone again that I have moved my live streams over to Twitch and the support over there has been really great as well. I am so excited to be streaming the Halo Infinite campaign reveal on Thursday. We always have an awesome time at these reveals, so follow the link in the description so you can be a part of it when we go live. So with all that out of the way, as promised in my last video, I want to get into the characters I don't necessarily want to see in Halo Infinite today. And you could probably guess, this list was actually really hard for me, mostly because I unapologetically love almost every ounce of Halo and its characters. But still, the following characters or groups, for one reason or another, are characters I could probably do without. It's not that I hate any of these characters at all, and I hope you can get a sense of that through this video. I can say I would actually be on board with most of these characters returning if they were done more justice as characters and or a group under the right circumstances. And I know in just a few short days, this list may become totally irrelevant, but still, I think it'll be really cool to have this video out in the world so we can come back and see how my ideas lined up with the actual game. So with that, let's get into the list. Much like how I clumped all of Blue Team together for my last list, I'm doing something really similar for this one. It's not that I hate Osiris by any means. Heck, how could you hate anything that Spartan Buck is a part of? But I know I'm not alone in saying the rest of the team overall sort of falls flat. I like Spartan Locke as an idea, and sort of what he was pitched to be in Halo 5, but the guy just really never gave the players a reason to be all that excited about playing as him. Now, do I think that's the worst thing ever? Not really. Remember when Combat Evolved came out nearly 20 years ago? We played as the borderline voiceless Master Chief, and he really had nothing interesting about him other than the fact that he made the ring go boom. It's just that there were no boom moments to speak of with Team Osiris. But Combat Evolved was 20 years ago, and the storytelling and character growth within the series has grown all this time. Do I dislike Team Osiris? No, quite the opposite. I just disliked how underwhelming they were as a team. Individually, Locke and Buck are characters I actually really enjoy. And we just really didn't get a good look at Tanaka and Vale. They just seemed to be like background characters. So overall, you can say that I just don't want to be underwhelmed by Osiris again. If they're going to be an Infinite, it just can't be the same take we had on the team before. Something has to change. In my perfect world, their introduction would have been more gradually throughout a few missions, and then the player can assume the role of Osiris for a smaller portion of the game, not the majority like in Halo 5. The reason Osiris is at the bottom of this list is because I still feel like these characters have untapped potential. I would love to see them explored more. Also, I'm not going to go into any sort of detail on any potential leaks. Maybe in the future I can, but not in this video. But what we have seen almost confirms that at least Spartan Locke will be present. And if that's the case, Osiris as a whole has a good chance of being there as well. So my hope for these characters is that their full potential can be seen and the story team has a new and unique take on Osiris.
We get through this, I'll buy the whole damn bar.
The next on my list is again, not a single character, but a group. Look, Halo 1 through 3 were great. We had an amazing time together. But one of the biggest reasons I'm hyped about the confirmation of the Banished in Halo Infinite is that it's a familiar threat, but not the same threat. Something we will get into later in the video. The Covenant were fantastic villains that I feel have stayed their welcome. Seeing Covenant remnants being hunted down and fought against in Halo 5, I thought was the perfect way to end the threat as a whole. Sure, the Covenant were pretty much devolved to side villains in Halo 4 and Halo 5, I think that's a great way to phase them out. I hope to see the fight against the Created in Infinite come to a close, and transition us into a fight with the Banished. I feel like any sort of Covenant remnant left over would be out of place during all of this. I'm sure if they really wanted to, the story team could come up with an interesting power struggle between factions, and maybe there's room for a little bit of the Covenant to survive. But it would have to be more than just the Covenant for Covenant's sake, because let's be honest, the Arbiter pretty much made it all clear.
Swords of San Helios, today Sanayan will fall, and with it, the Covenant! To me, brothers!
So I know I'm not the only one that thought from a gameplay standpoint, Warden Eternal was kind of lame. He just ended up being a bullet sponge, and when it comes to the gameplay of Halo 5, it's the part I dread the most. He just won't die, and if we see him again as part of any created army with Cortana, something has to be done involving his gameplay. Story-wise, I guess I don't really mind him. He's just kind of a robo-simp for Cortana, and because of that, he's pretty one-dimensional. But overall, he just doesn't have the makings of a character I look forward to fighting by any means. One thing I can say positive about Warden Eternal is his visual design. I think he is absolutely sick looking. The simple surfaces caressed by ribbons of light perfectly captures the Forerunner style and tonally fits the entirety of the Reclaimer saga. But even more importantly, that Tron aesthetic though. If Warden Eternal eventually did return, I feel like his fights from a gameplay standpoint need to seriously be shaken up before I can look forward to seeing him again.
Take me to Cortana.
Not just yet. Come. Let us talk some more.
I know what you might be thinking. The Didact is dead, Soup. We put a bomb in his chest and he fell into space at the end of Halo 4. And the answer is yes. Yes, we did. But he's not dead. His story continued in the Halo Escalation comic, and without spoiling anything from that series, I'll just say that they left room for the Didact to return in some way, shape, or form if they wanted to. So why don't I want him to return? Why leave the door open? My answer is simple. I don't like his teeth. Okay, in all seriousness, it's more complex than that. I do like the Didact as a villain, but with what we have seen so far, I don't think his story fits in with this current direction. With Cortana being the big bad, there is no way I think she would want to bring the Didact back. Their interests just don't line up. This isn't an enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of situation. The enemy of her enemy is still most definitely her enemy. Although I do admit, I would be interested to see who the Prometheans remain loyal to. Perhaps we get a Cortana Blue faction versus the Orange Didact faction. Again, that Tron aesthetic though. However, I digress. Needless to say, I just don't think we need the Didact to come back right now. Simply put, I hope 343 keeps him in their back pocket for a perfect opportunity. Or they just leave it ambiguous forever.
Time was your ally, human. But now it has abandoned you. The Forerunners have returned. This tomb is now yours.
Atriox is probably the character on this list that is going to raise the most eyebrows, and before you banish me to the YouTube hell, let me explain. I love Atriox as a villain. I love how cool he is. I love what he represents. I love the Banished. I love everything he is about. I know that the Banished are confirmed for Halo Infinite through teasers and merchandise. So why then do I still say I don't want to see him in Halo Infinite? That Tron aesthetic. No, the answer really is simple this time. I feel like he is such a good bad guy and such a big threat, I think he needs to be held off for the next game. I would love to see the Banished enter the fray in this game, introduce the threat of the Banished as a whole. Have Atriox mentioned maybe in a line or two. I want his presence to be felt, not seen. And then at the very end, I would love to see a big reveal, similar to Thanos at the end of the first Avengers movie. The way he was introduced in Halo Wars 2 made him seem like such a realistic and imposing threat. I mean, the guy stood up to the Covenant and took a bunch of the Covenant followers with him, and not only attempted, but successfully became a dagger in the Covenant's side, stealing supplies and resources from wherever he could.
His name is Atriox. During the war, the Covenant used his clan as expendable muscle. Told them dying in battle would speed their holy journey. 40 at a time, they carelessly sent them in. 40 to break the front lines. 40 to die for beliefs not their own. None ever returned. Until he did.
That kind of villain demands some major respect and some thematic moments, but again, I want his presence in Infinite to be felt, not seen. I want his appearance to be so mind-blowing that in 10 years, fans are still talking about it. I would love Atriox to pave the way into a new saga for Halo. And most importantly, I would love if Atriox wasn't just a side villain they introduced for Infinite, but something much greater and way more intense. And with Atriox single-handedly taking on Red Team in Halo Wars 2, I can't wait to see what he does to our beloved Master Chief. There it is, everyone. There's my list. If you haven't seen my other video involving characters I want to return, check out the link in the description below and at the end of the video. It really is crazy to think that we are getting more Halo news in just 3 days. I can't wait for it, and I hope you all are just as excited as I am. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and get this video out to other awesome people like yourself so that they can be a part of the awesome community on the channel. And until next time, I'll see you online. VanillaSoup, out.